Get down. Let me clear my throat. Yeah. Oh, that's better. That's better. Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on track, you feel me? I'm not gonna get paid for it. Sermon of the day. You right where you supposed to be, baby. Informant, that information for me. Important you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focus on scoring. Got you underperforming. I never expect something, never assume nothing. Judging me for my past, but that's why I'm triumphant. I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans. That game plan, show out like a jotter, pop out like a cutter. Telling the kick rock, skipping the country squares like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my diddy boots, ain't no stop. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with pens and needles. So lethal, mean Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dreams till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me, how could I never pick up? Either we make up or just break up. With the snake hits, get the rake up. Yeah, selfish, I'ma cake up. If I don't shake me to wake up. Let my depression catapult me to succession. Shine a light on my imperfections like a projection. Every struggle and lesson, your issues ain't your oppression. Never got a question, keep pushing me to progression like I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah.
Hey, that's my song, y'all. I'm gonna make the rest of my life. Like what? The rest of my life. That's all I need. It gets me hype, gets me in my space. That's what I'm talking about. So, good evening. Happy Thursday is my favorite day of the week. Why? Because I get to spend these next 60 minutes or so with you. So, good evening and welcome everybody to another great Thursday night. It's me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, in the house here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. And while we are talking about it, we're going to salute our queen, the queen bee of the Bravo with Sheila Network, none other than Pastor Sheila Ingram, always giving grace. And I'm always appreciative as she so graciously yields this captain share to me on Thursday nights to come spend some time with you. So, good evening, everybody, to our number one bra vet in the house, Anae Kenya, always in the place. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see none other than my mama who literally gave birth to me. It's not, just a something to say. She really pushed me out and she keeps on pushing me. Y'all know her in the person of Pastor Rosa Griffin, a.k.a. Mama Rosa's in the house. And if you didn't know, be informed. If you want a good word, go across the street to the Sheila Ingram Network, the ministry channel. Go right across the street. And you're going to get a good word on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. from my mama, Pastor Rosa, a.k.a. Mama Rosa. She's going to teach you the good word, help you get your relationship right with God. And while you're over there on the SIM channel, make sure you are checking out the Queen of Bravo, the Pastor Sheila Ingram herself. She is all over the place doing the kabbalah, teaching prayer, teaching the word. She's on Tuesday. She's everywhere. She's everywhere. She's over here on the Bravo. She goes across the street back and forth. She's just working. So y'all make sure you check her out. Get the good content that's being put out there for you. I promise you won't be disappointed. It's only going to grow your life. So we want to make sure we shout everybody out and welcome everyone again to another great Thursday evening. I want to shout out to everyone. You know what we do here in triplet style. Like, subscribe, and share. Come on, sharing is caring. tap somebody into this great conversation and help them create this space, help us grow this space up in here. We don't want to just be in silo, but we want to be able to grow um, with other people, right? Right. So even you guys who are up in the expensive seats in the silent section, we want to greet y'all and invite you to come on down and be a part. Tap into the comments, say something, let somebody know you're there. We won't pick on you, I promise. On tonight, y'all, I am happy and I am excited, and we just gonna flow. I am very excited because on tonight I have with me one of the original Thursday night with Lady Dawn B. Ladies in the his house with me. She is none other than, some of you know her, some of you love her. And for those who don't, you're going to get to know her tonight. And you're going to love her by the time it's all over. She is none other than the amazing Queen Bee Events. I might have got it wrong. She'll correct me, but because it's been a minute. I got it right.
You got it right.
I got it right. See what I'm saying? It's a good thing I remember. She is the captain, the curator, and the owner of Queen Bee Events. None other than my bestie. She sometimes is my voice. Well, I was gonna say she's my voice of reason, but we she's not my unreasonable voice. She's just the other. What can I say? We all need one of those. She's the she brings the balance. Okay, she brings the balance for me. She's in the person of Elaine Edwards. So y'all give her a big bravo and welcome her back on tonight. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. Come on, greet the people, Elaine. Greet the people.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I'm happy to be here. And we're just going to have a good time tonight.
Yes, we are, because you are in the house. And for those who don't know, again, Elaine is one of my best friends. She and I have been friends for long time, way before, we ain't gonna talk about it, way before children and all other stuff. So we good, not just girlfriends, we sister girlfriends.
Yes.
And we gonna have a great conversation. I'm so glad she was able to join on tonight. Now, as you may know, or maybe this is your first time joining in with us, so again, we welcome you to the Bravo with Sheila Network. Make sure you do the triplets, like, subscribe, and share, so you don't miss any of this amazing content that we are going to be having in our conversation on tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in last week. If you missed it, we were doing the ladies' room with Lady Deshawn Bill and ND Brown, and we're going to be bringing them back. But on tonight, we are doing part 4 of a series called Redeeming Me. Now, the Redeeming Me series is something, it's a part of my personal journey that I have been taking of self-discovery, as I am emerging. I don't want to say re-emerging, because the person that I am now is not the person that I was before. So it's not a re-emergence, because I'm not back in the space that I was in. But what I am doing is redeeming who I am and redeeming the things that I am, the things that make me happy. Um, it's the season of doing. You know what I'm saying? You know those seasons, Elaine. You know when it's time for you to put everything else to the side, because you have put yourself to the side for so long, and now it's time for you to go back and pick you up the way that you have picked others up. So that's what this Redeeming Me series is about. It's about getting back to the core of who I am and breathing life back into my hopes, my dreams, and not just breathing life back into them, but manifesting them. What I've come to learn about this is that it is a journey where you really have to dig deep and be honest with yourself. And sometimes that's harder to do. It's harder to be honest with us than it is to be with other people sometimes. Because, we share what we want with other people, but you can't hide you from you.
True.
What you say, Elaine?
True. It's very true. And, sometimes you have to be vulnerable. And I think that's the harder part.
You said something so key right there about being vulnerable. I think I have had a big struggle in being vulnerable with myself. It's something you have to learn, um, because you don't want to feel weak. You don't want to feel less than. You don't want to look at your flaws. When you're used to being strong, when they say check on your strong friends, when you're used to being that strong one, it is very hard to be vulnerable and to let those guards down, and to at least for me, and I'm sure there are other people that have the same issue. and just acknowledging that I got to struggle being vulnerable with myself. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but if you can't be vulnerable with yourself, you're in kind of in denial because if
Hmm.
you can't be honest with God, who you're standing before with your vulnerability, how can you get what you need?
Well, that's true. And I think for me, I don't, because God knows everything anyway, and this is an disclaimer, y'all. As you know, if you are not new here, we're God girls. So, we will reference him quite a bit because that's what we know. But maybe you know something else. There's no shame. Listen, we are not here to convict nor convince. We are here
Right.
to have respectful conversation with real conversation, with real resolutions, opening up perspectives so that we can develop better relationship with ourselves so that we can be in better relationship with other people. So um, I found it's really key. It's fun. Okay, the conversation is taking on this angle, but
Here we go.
here we go. We listen. We doing it. We doing it. Good evening, Jenny. Mentor from Connecticut. Thank you for joining. Thank you for popping in. Thank you for being a part of our conversation on tonight. We hope that you will chime in the comments. If something is good to you, say so. Just let us know. Um, but as you were saying, Elaine, about being vulnerable with God, one thing that I learned, and we all know, like God knows everything, so you can't hide anything from Him. So what I do, this is just Dawn 101, because y'all know I'm extra. I'm special. Um, I don't hide it from him. I just kind of ignore. I don't address. I'm just not willing to have. Like, we're not gonna talk about that right now, God. We just huh? What you said? So my mother's calling me. I gotta go. Yeah, I just I kind of divert from that. Um, and when it comes to those kinds of spaces, but I'm learning to address them. I'm learning. I'll be like, okay, God, you gotta talk to me nice, because I don't want to run the other way, but I will, you know. But you're right. And it's hard. It is hard to do. I find it's hard, again, for me, from my experience, and I'm getting better at that, but I've learned that it is hard for me. It was hard for me to be very vulnerable with God because I felt He expected perfection from me, and that was my own. That was the expectation I put on myself of what He expects. That's not what He expects. So
Mm,
I didn't want to go to Him in any way less than perfect,
right.
which in itself is retarded. But
But that's what we do. I think we put on more on ourselves than what he expects is what we think he might expect. And then
mhm.
we're harder on ourselves than he would be. I can't imagine God saying, now well, I can imagine him saying, now, when you spoke to that person, you were in the wrong. So I'm going to correct you right now. But that wouldn't mean that he wouldn't expect us to continue to make mistakes,
Mhm.
um, or just be open and, vulnerable. We're all have, I think, moments of vulnerability because there's going to be a moment in time when we trip up and we're going to be like, uh-oh.
Gonna be several. Gonna be several moments.
Yes,
Several of those moments.
there'll be
Yeah.
several moments.
Sometimes back
Several
to
moments.
back. Sometimes it's intentional. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know.
I
Um,
apologize beforehand.
Sometimes I plan out my mistakes. Sometimes I have calculated errors.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Now,
Right, yeah, and then I've just kind of learned now I don't even apologize because I'm like, God, you already knew that I meant it, so I'm not even gonna. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just at that point with him right now. JD says, although he created us in his image and likeness, he also says there will be, I believe, there will be no other God before me. Yes, that is true. That is true. That's the text. It's in
hmm
the text. It's in the word, and that is true. You know, but we do have to learn how to, because God already knows. He already
yeah,
knows. He knows before we do it, he knows whatever it is. And so, if anything, that's the space where we have to learn how to be vulnerable and be safe in feeling vulnerable. That relationship, whatever it is. And again, like I said, we're God girls, but I understand everybody is not, and that may not be, your belief, and that's okay. Again, we're not here to convict nor convince. We're just here to have healthy conversation and dialogue so that we can build and better ourselves. So whatever it is, that you run to, that's your place of solitude and safety. That's the space where you should be able to be vulnerable and practice vulnerability, whatever that is. For us as God in that place with him. So you're right. But this part of the things in redeeming who we are, getting to our emotions, and to our feelings. It's one of the obstacles that come along in the way that kind of can slow down our progression in getting to back to where we were. So on tonight, I wanted to address three major areas, or three places in the journey of redeeming who we are, which is restoration, reset, and unlearning whatever isn't you anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah, because we have picked up some habits along the way, as we have made some unhealthy adjustments to accommodate sometimes toxic people or situations. And those things have thrown us off of our square. Yet we have become conditioned to existing in those spaces. And it is time for us to unlearn those things because they are not serving us. They're hindering us from living in our fullness. We're actually never satisfied. I find that when you get to a place where you are not satisfied, where complacency doesn't give you any gratification, which sometimes for us, in different situations, being complacent or just might be satisfying for a moment, but it's still only temporary. And you want to be fully satisfied, with who you are and with your life. And when we feel incomplete, oftentimes it's because we have some, yeah, when we feel incomplete, oftentimes it's because we have some unlearned behaviors that we have allowed to take residence in us, that are taking up space for the things that we really need to do. Do you want to chime in on that, or you want to start the other part of the conversation?
Um, I was just thinking in my head, how do you unlearn something that
Well,
became a habit? Like, so how do you, I guess it's intentional that you have to, like, I'm not going to do that anymore, or because
mhm.
you've got to go through that, if you want to, that process. Because I'm like, oh Lord, how do I unlearn all of these bad things? I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Help me.
But okay, because you've known me before children. You know me before marriages and before divorce and before, a lot of stuff. You know me.
Right.
Um and I realized the things that I learned in order to get along, and in convincing myself that I was in spaces, the things that I learned in order to get along in the spaces that I was convincing myself I was happy in, knowing that I was not, I had to take the journey of really unlearning them. I had to take the journey of owning up that this is not what I want. This is not, I can only mask, you can only mask something for so long.
True.
You can only live in the lie, because that's what it is. We just keep it real. But for so long, you can only convince yourself of being happy. It's like trying to well, okay, I don't want, the talks that we have about our day to day. There's only but so many things that you can do to motivate yourself, or to re-motivate yourself to keep getting up in the morning to go somewhere that you are completely over with, done with. Like, I don't have no more tricks in my bag. I ain't got
Right.
none in my purse. I ain't got no more tricks in my pocket. I just ain't got no more, that is going to motivate me enough to be, to perform at my peak at 100%, you
Right.
know. Um, and I had to realize that I was setting myself up all along. So at the first time when I realized that I'm not really satisfied anymore, or I feel like I've outgrown this space, that was the time really for me to start working on my exit strategy. But I allowed other things and responsibilities to lock me into this and say, no, now's not the time for me to take the risk of leaving what is stable right now to venture off into something new. So I kept tricking myself, which was becoming a learned behavior in order to get along and make it in the space that I knew I was unhappy in, that I knew I was unsatisfied with, you
Right.
know. So for me, getting to that space of understanding the root, you got to go back to the beginning of how did you get to this place of this learned behavior, you know. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Even
You
though
know,
I don't want to go back to the root, I just want to, you know what I mean?
yes,
Just
yes.
let's just move forward.
Right.
Let's not
But
go back.
right. But sometimes you gotta go back. I didn't want to either. I really didn't. I was like, Lord, really, do I have to go? I don't want to see. I'm already out. But God is like, but are you really out? You're not really out if it's still weighing on you, if it's still
Right.
affecting you, and if you're still
Right.
having to repeat those things. So Mama
Yeah.
Rosa says it is absolutely a transition from one point to another. We will stumble many times before we even get the concept that there is a better than where we are in this moment. Well, amen, Mama Rosa. And
I
hallelujah.
agree.
Yes,
I
God.
agree.
Yes, God. Good evening, Leslie Tuckett. Thank you for joining us on tonight. I want to ask you guys, come on, welcome Leslie to the house on tonight. And we hope you're enjoying this conversation so far. Tonight, we're doing part 4 of a series called Redeeming Me, getting back to the core of who we are. And we're talking about restoration, about reset, and about unlearning whatever isn't you anymore. So I want to say also in answer to your question, it brings us kind of to the first point of restoration. And when I looked up the definition of restoration, it says it is the action. Okay, let me act like all right, I'm gonna act my age.
Unlearned behaviors. Put those glasses on.
Right. I know I can't see. What's wrong with me? Put my glasses on. Right. Um, Restoration is the action of returning something to a former owner, place, or condition. So it's in line with, the answer is in line with what we're talking about. Restoration is going back. We're going back to the beginning. We're going back to where the offense took place. What I realize is that we have to, when we get to that place, we have to ask what caused the break to begin with. What caused, where's the point of entry that the breach happened that we need to be restored back to where we were. So although I know you don't want to go back, and a lot of us don't want to go back, um, but we are in a position where we have to. And it's important to go back to seal up those spots in those places. Um, Hey, Minister Karen, thank you for joining on tonight. She says, blessings, beautiful queen, my sister. Oh, prophetess. All right. And God's well, thank you. And praise the Lord. Welcome, Minister Karen. Thank you for joining on tonight. But restoration, we use that word often, and I find that we start to use it very loosely. But when we get to the place of redeeming who we are, you have to go back to those spots, to those rough places, to the spots where you left behind that we ignored and we just didn't want to deal with. We didn't want to adjust to, because you don't want to leave open spaces and open gaps. And it's going to continue until you seal it. is going to continue to come up, and a part of redeeming who you are is being willing to be restored. Do you agree?
I
What?
I do agree. I was just thinking
As I said, I
sometimes,
see you're in deep thought.
well, sometimes maybe for some people, you won't have to go back that far. Maybe just before the brokenness or the anger, or, I mean, I agree. You sometimes you're forced to deal with it, because it's keeping you from moving forward. And it may not be, I can only speak for me, it may
Hmm.
not be intentional that you go back to restoration. It may be something that came up that triggered behaviors, and you're like, hmm, so this is not the first time. So now I got to deal with it, and I got to go to the root, or whatever it was that caused um, whatever reaction.
Hmm.
And then you've got to deal with it. You have no choice, and you've got to inspect it, so to speak. Investigate. That's a good word. Investigate. You
Gotta
have to
stay with
investigate. Yeah, to say, oh my God. I mean, this has happened to me so many times, because I try not to bring baggage from one relationship to
it.
another.
Mhm.
But all of a sudden, I saw all this baggage piling up, and I was like, okay, I can't keep going like this. So now I've got to
Right.
really, when was the last time? What caused me to do this the first time? And when can I stop? That's my main thing. When can I stop? When will I stop?
Hmm.
So I
And
agree.
it's not, and even in those moments like you're talking about, it's okay. We have to free ourselves from some guilt and some shames, and understand that it's not about when we're going through these things and when we're in a process of restoration and in the going back. It's not to point blame, and it's not to be accusatory. It's going back so that we can mend those spots, because like you was talking about being triggered. Now we're triggered usually when something is still open, when there's still a sore spot, when there's still, because you can be, I've been saying this a lot lately. You're only as healed as the weight that you can take on a wound. You know, if you hurt yourself, if you cut yourself and it was deep, and you put a band-aid on it, and it starts to heal, and it's like, okay, great, we're healing now, and you can take the band-aid off and you have the scab, but and so it's still healing, and then the scab goes away and the skin is all, restored back to its original condition. And it's healed on the surface, but it's a deep cut, and it's really a whole lot deeper in your skin or in your body than you anticipate. So on the outside it looks healed, but if someone touches it lightly, you're not going to feel it, and you're like, okay. But if someone comes and puts pressure on that spot, and it still hasn't been dealt with all the way at the bottom, you're only healed up until the point where you feel the pressure of the weight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is why going back to the place of the breach is so important. This is why, and it's really about acknowledgement, because when you acknowledge it, you're able to stop the cycles. You're able, it's the beginning of you stopping cycles from happening, because like you said, we don't bring baggage, or we do our best not to bring our baggage from prior relationships into new relationships of any kind, male, female, um, girlfriends, family, um, you know, whatever it is. We try not to bring that baggage in, but when we haven't done the work of restoring the breaches in our lives, we will be triggered. It just give it time. It's like you just haven't met that trouble yet, that
Yeah.
it shakes up,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, and even when you do get healed, there's still going to be things that are going to they won't, they're going to cause you to react. They're going to seem really familiar. When you're in a familiar situation, you're going to remember like, oh no, I've been through this before, but the difference is you're not triggered.
Right.
You can see it
You
for what
deal
it
with
is.
it head on.
Right. But it's not because the trigger it catches you off guard and then you're reactive. You're not
Right.
responding, you're reacting. You know, when you're healed, you can respond,
Right.
from a different place. Um, but you have to go to what caused the break. And that means taking yourself back to square one, to where it all started, and then you have to start the process of cleaning, of clearing and repairing. And you have to be willing to take the steps to do the work to do that. I know for myself, it was a messy, nasty journey that I really didn't want to go on. I really did not. But I knew I didn't want to stay in the condition that I was in. I didn't want to stay in the mental space that I was in, and I didn't want to stay in the emotional space that I was in. So, I think you and I had a conversation years ago, and one thing I remembered I said to you, um, and I'll try to say it the way I said it. We were talking about change, and I said, "Well, you know what? I'm at a place where I'm more afraid to stay the same than I am to change. I'm more afraid of staying stuck in this spot than I am the fear of starting something new." So that is one of the spaces for me that caused me to go back to square one, to that place of restoration. Um, it's what started me on my journey back, that mindset, and it begins in the mind. Like you were saying, how do we unlearn? It begins in the mind. I had to make up my mind that I was like, I'm more scared of what I'm gonna be if I stay in this space.
Right.
um and they said you're only as healed as you can take the weight on the wound. She said, wow. Yes, I believe that's what I I think you had it right, Renee. I believe you had it right. Good evening, M Mills. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you could join us on tonight. Guys, hit that like, subscribe, and share. I hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. So excited and happy to be here with you on tonight, Thursday night with me, Lady Dawn B, on the Bravo with Sheila Network. Tell a friend, grab a snack, get a chair, let's chat, talk it up. So we do it. Um, but we have to, again, in that process of restoration, um, be willing to go through the cleaning, you know, and the clearing, and then be willing to go through the repairing. And it takes work. It takes a lot of work.
It does. Because when the same things start happening in your life over and over and over again, and you have to take that time to do inner reflections, you have to decide, okay, so am I going to keep going through these cycles, or am I going to move forward? And if you're going to move forward, what will it take? What do I have to remove from my life? What do I have to bring into my life? What kind of
Mhm.
standards and boundaries do I have to have? It's not always about relationships. It could be, about work. We talk about that all the time, how we want to
Lord
move
Jesus.
forward. So, how are we going to do that? You have to move past the things or the people that have tried to stand in your way, and you've got to make sure that you're in a place and before you can do that moving forward, as you said, it's really about the mindset. So you've got to make up in your mind that that's what you want to do, and nothing's going to stop you or get in your way from your healing. Because sometimes we have good intentions and we get halfway through, and if it becomes difficult, we
Yep.
fall back into those old habits that we're
She's a
trying to
winner. She's a track
unlearn.
star. Yeah.
Yeah. And and so you you got to make up in your mind that I just remember when I decided to go back to school, that was difficult because I made up in my mind that's what I wanted to do, and I couldn't talk to any of you all, and I would turn my phone
I'm
off.
taking my glasses off for this one.
I had a mindset. You've got to have a mindset. Even
Yes.
in your own taking part in your own restoration and your own healing, you've got to have that mindset.
Yes, you have to be a partner, be a participant in your own recovery. That's what
Right,
you have to do. You have
right,
to participate in your
right.
own recovery. And sidebar, I want y'all to know when she was in school finishing up her degree and she said she didn't talk to nobody, I promise you, not near a soul. You could text her. That girl was so focused. If I could get that kind of focus, I might be all right. I might get somewhere
You
in life.
can get that kind of
But you
focus.
do. You have to be. But
Yes.
I'm easily distracted. I think I have adult ADD or something. I don't know. But we're gonna be all right. Leslie says sometimes you don't know that you are stuck or still
Hmm.
unhealed until something or someone brings you back into that
That
headspace.
trigger we were
Triggers.
talking about.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. Exactly. You don't know. Because you know what? I found that in doing the work, um, hey Janice, welcome to tonight. I'm sorry, y'all, just trying to greet the people at the same time. But what I found is that in the you don't know. You only know what you know. Now, I had taken the journey, and I'm gonna be again, I'm transparent, y'all. I was going through a situation. I've been married before, I've been divorced. I was like, I ain't doing this no more. I'm tired. I'm tired. I ain't even mad. I'm just tired. It's like I'm done. You know, I had to do the work in me to get me to a space and say, okay, it's different people you're in relationship, but what is the common denominator in all of these things? And it was me. I said, okay, whoever I dated before and before has nothing to do with each other. They're not friends, they're not brothers, they're not cousins, they don't know each other, none of that. The common denominator is me. So I had to work with the common denominator because that was the only thing that I could change. So I had to start doing the work on Dawn, saying what put me in these situations that I keep getting this same end result. And again, it's being, as we began the conversation, being vulnerable enough to be naked, not in the sense of physical nakedness, but being naked enough emotionally and mentally and spiritually, if you will, to look at what's happening within you. Where your deficits are, where you're feeling insufficient. Are you overcompensating? Those things. And after I did all of that, and after I did my work, and Elaine can vouch for it. And I was still like, I'm not dating. I don't want to ever date again. I'm good. I'll be a great date. I'm like, shoot, I did my work, and I was like, I'm proud of my work. I was like, you know what? And I would date me. I was like, I absolutely would, because I'd be the best date ever. I was like, I'm amazing. You know. And then I had to say to myself, right, but you're amazing to you, but you don't know how good your work is until you test it. So you can't sit here and say you're great and amazing and you would date you, but you have not gone out and now trust the work that you've done, and in that you find, as Leslie was saying, some spaces that you don't know that you're still stuck in, because now it's not just you, but now you're taking your work back out into the world where you are now exposed to other people and other things. And now you can really see how much you've grown, or the spaces that you still need to grow in, and the spaces where you're still hurt at, that again, those triggers that someone else or something might bring up to you, because you're not hiding anymore. You're
Right.
willing to be vulnerable, and you're not hiding, and you can't be afraid of the work not working, or finding out, oh well, maybe I didn't do as great of a job there as I thought you know
And even if you're not ready, um, in anything that you're trying to restore, you just continue to do the work until you are ready and you keep trying. I think when we stop trying is where we run into issues. And you run the risk of just being stuck.
hmm but that's that
You,
wall that you were talking about, when
yeah,
you hit that wall, and you have to give yourself grace
that
through the
part.
whole process.
Yeah.
Give yourself
Yes.
grace, because that's
Right.
the mending. You have to allow yourself that space of grace. Um, and I'm learning how to. Anyone who knows me, and Berna's gonna laugh at this because she probably knows what I'm going to say. I don't do gray well at all. Never have. Never will. I'm like, I need black and white. I need definition. I don't do the in betweens very well. It makes me feel very unstable. I feel very somewhat insecure because I'm not sure how I'm supposed to move, how I'm supposed to react, how I'm supposed to respond. When I'm operating, and again, I can only speak my truth. When I'm operating in my silo of one, I'm good. But the truth is, we don't live in the world of one. So I had to learn how to like embrace the gray. Like it's okay, breathe through it. Take your time. It's all right. No one's gonna hurt you. I go through a whole process in my head. I do.
Oh my
But
goodness.
yeah, if y'all don't know me by now, you will learn me in my special spaces. But you have to give yourself, and I had to learn how to give myself the grace to be patient with me while you're being restored. Everybody doesn't know your spaces of hurt. Everybody doesn't know. We don't wear our hearts on our sleeves as sometimes we would suppose, you know, and people will only know what is bothering you by how you respond or react.
That's true.
So you have to give yourself grace to not be defensive, going into things, and be open. That's what I've kind of learned. So I've learned, again, that was where I was, and I've learned to open myself up and say, okay, again, I'm at this place where I'm more afraid to stay the same than I am to change. So now that I've done this work, and I've been restored back to my former place, back to my square. Now that I'm mended, now that I'm reestablished, now that I'm reinstated, now let me put my feet to the pavement and engage. I have to open myself up, which is again going back to the vulnerability that you were speaking about in the beginning.
Yeah. And so sometimes people, I think they want to do the work because they want to move forward. Like you said, it's scarier to stay in one place or in the same place and not move. I think the not moving thing would freak me out. And because everybody who knows me knows I will try anything at least,
Please.
once. So for me not to engage in anything that is change worthy, is makes me more vulnerable, I think. Where some people are scared to move to change, I'm scared not to
Mhm.
change. I'm all for it. If you say to me today, let's just pack up and move to Texas together. Okay, let me get my lease together and I'm gonna pack up all my clothes. What day you want to leave? Um, that's where my mindset is. Whereas other people will be like, no, I can't leave. This is where everything is happening for me, so I can't leave. So everybody's vulnerability will be different, and
Mhm.
everybody's advancement after restoration will be different. It will look different. So, like you were
Mhm.
saying, I think you do have to give yourself a little bit of grace to adjust to the new space that you're in. And that will be able to give you the encouragement and the motivation to move forward, or to at least move out of that spot, because forward may be at the end and you got to take those little steps in between to get there.
True, true. That was good stuff right there. I'm gravitating from my space of me, like, nope, this is where I am, this is where I need to be. I know where everything is, and fine and good. And nope, can't do that. Can't go anywhere. I don't do impromptu. I don't do spontaneous. I don't do, even my spontaneity is scheduled, And I'm like, whatever that is, it is, it's like, okay, it's always got to be a plan. We got to have a plan and there got to be something to do, and I'm not used to, but I'm learning now. And it's probably because, older in my mid 50s now with a grown son. So, navigating that space, I don't have to be as locked in anymore. So now I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, I can explore a little freedom. So you know
Right.
what? Maybe I will pack up. What day you say you leaving? Oh, let me think about that. All right.
Right.
Well, heck, why not? And trying something different and something new. And I also just want to put out there, restoration can be very tricky. And it can be tricky in the sense of it's taking you back to the place where you were. However, going back to the place where you were, you are still not the same. So you're returning back to that place, but you're not returning as the same person
Right.
that you were.
Right.
And we tend to think like you don't have to start over from square one. You're going back to do a job or to do a task or to, to get to the root of the matter. But it doesn't mean that there has been no change in your life, along the way. Um, Mama Rosa says looking back can be painful, especially when it means facing things we are not proud of. True. But it's the only way to redeem ourselves and move on. Otherwise, life is going to be with the bowed down heads. True, true, good point. And Mills says there's not a time limit on how long you grieve over a marriage or death of a loved one. We're on God's timing, not man's. And Mills, I absolutely agree with that. My father passed away, I want to say 17 years ago, maybe 18. My son was about 5. But at that time, I was in my late 30s or something like that. Um, and I tell people when it comes to grieving, when the person has been gone from me, when it comes to grieving, especially in death, it's just, that um, when the person's been gone from me for as long as they were with me, then maybe you can ask me about, like, are you still, feeling a way about it? But until then, and that's for me, that's just my timing. Like, there is no timing. Grief is a constant process, you know, and even in marriage, it takes time. Lord, no, well, okay. I,
I was
I
like, don't do
didn't
it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself.
Don't do it, Miss Seeley. I didn't grieve long over my marriages. I didn't, but I might be a little different. I know I did it to myself anyway. But I'm being honest.
Right.
I didn't grieve long over them. And I will say this. I didn't grieve long over them because I honestly should have never been in them in the first place. So the grieving wasn't necessarily in the loss of relationship for me. And I'm being honest and transparent because I want to help somebody. The grieving for me was in the disappointment I caused myself by not making, or rather, making a good decision, but a bad choice. Making a good decision of getting married, but a bad choice of the people that I married. Not necessarily because they were bad people, but it was just not where I was supposed to be. So my grief didn't come from the loss of relationship. My grief came from dealing with the repercussions of my choices. But yes, there is no time limit. You have to work it out in your own timing. Janice said, I am now a little slow. I'm now a little slow, now moving. If I have the funds, I will go. Yeah, I'm with you, Janice. I'm with you. Mama Rosa says it's called closure. We got to go acknowledge. Um, Jenny Mentor says, this is good for me. My husband passed 2 years ago and the grief is very real. There's no time frame for grief. No, there's not. It's not at all. And no one can ever tell you that.
No.
No one can say you, well, you should be over it. No, I shouldn't. I should not. Maybe you
And
should be over it.
And that's any relationship. Dawn knows I lost a very good friend um, last year, January. We had just celebrated her birthday, and she died less than a month later. So we did almost everything together. So no one can tell me how to grieve the loss in my life.
Mm,
And that's, and I mean, I feel the same way about my grandmother who passed away last year, or, a very close aunt that passed away. It's your heart, and it does take time for hearts to mend, which is, the grief is the response of the condition of your heart when when you have when you lose a loved one, or a marriage ends before you expected it to, or a relationship, whether it's a friendship or romantic relationship. um, the condition of your heart will determine how you grieve
absolutely.
with these things. And no one can tell you how to deal with any of that. That's on you, how you do it. I remember when my dad died right before Dawn's, and my stepmother would not move one thing in the house that belonged to him. So my dad used to sit in this chair, and he would have his headphones for his music and a pack of gum, and it stayed that way until she passed away, because that's how much she missed him. None of us could say anything to her because that was just her way of dealing. So I think, when we talk about restoration, grief is just one of those things that um, is done definitely on an individual basis. No one can tell you what to do, how to do it, because until your heart mends, you'll always miss that person, but until your heart starts to mend, that will determine how you start to think about that person, speak about that person or that situation. If the marriage broke your heart, oh my goodness, it will be a long time before you can speak positive about marriage or that person you were married to. So I think those things are all on an individual basis.
I agree. I agree. And definitely when it comes um, to the grieving aspect, what I have learned is you have to, it's a matter of you developing a new normal, and you never have to forget. You're not even supposed to forget. It's okay not to forget. You
Right,
know, it's about you developing a new normal and restoring the parts of you that are now hurting at the loss of whatever it was.
right,
That's where restoration comes in my big in the book of Dawn, in my experience, when it comes to grieving, grief of any kind, just of any kind. We grieve over different things at different times for different reasons. But I've come to understand that the departure of the relationship really um, is about you navigating into a new normal. And again, we want to free some people. You don't have to forget. You're not supposed to forget, ever. Doesn't matter how long. That's a part of who you are. The person or the thing is a part of who you are. It just means it
right,
may not be as dominant, anymore.
right.
But put it in its rightful place, and you'll find that pocket. Antoinette, hey, my poetic partner. I should have had you come on the platform tonight to share. She says, thank you for joining. I hope you're enjoying this conversation about redeeming me, redeeming who we are. And we're touching on restoration, reset, and unlearning whatever isn't you anymore. And we've kind of been stuck on restoration. It is so good. Like, you get into a pocket, and it's okay, because we're here to help with what is needed. But Antoinette says you never get over it, but you learn to cope and deal. It's a process. Exactly. It is a whole process. And you take your time through your process. It's better that you go through your process so that you can build the strength to stand than to rush through it and ignore it and have to go back and just
Right.
keep reliving it again. That's a cycle that you don't want to get into. Um,
Right.
Karen says, my 12-year-old daughter passed 21 years ago, and it feels like yesterday sometimes. Prayers to you, Karen. Absolutely. And yes, I think of my cousin Ava who passed away. She was 16. I was about maybe 12. And to this day, I still, miss her. I still feel, and we still acknowledge her presence and her absence. So yeah, it's always gonna feel like yesterday, and you don't ever have to let that go. You have as many yesterdays as you need to, in whatever way that you need to have that. Um, Bravo, Sheila says there are stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Everyone recovers different. Amen.
Yep.
And amen.
Amen.
Everyone.
Amen.
And you
Yes.
have to allow yourself that space to recover how you recover, and don't let anyone box you into their process or what
Right.
they feel you should be doing, or how
Right.
they think, whatever your time frame or your period is.
Right.
So welcome everybody again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Thursday night with me, your girl, Lady Dawn B, here on the Bravo with Sheila Network. And I am chopping it up tonight, as we say, with my girl, my bestie, my friend, Elaine, one of the original Bravo Thursday Night Squad members. Um, and so, yeah, we are talking about redeeming ourselves in the areas of restoration, reset, and how to unlearn whatever isn't you anymore. Good evening to the psalmist voice, Pastor Chris. Welcome, welcome to the room. Y'all gonna be hearing from him real soon. He's a part of our men's lounge, so I'm gonna tell y'all about that later. So welcome, and glad you could make it on tonight. So, yeah, and if you need therapy or counseling or any of those things, a listening ear, Pastor Sheila is a licensed and certified counselor. So I'm sure she will put her information in the chat as well. And that's why I say, these platforms are so important, and these conversations are so necessary, because sometimes we don't have outlets. We don't know where to go. Sometimes we just need a listening ear, and we don't know how to get the help that we need. And, the blessing in being a part of this family here, the Bravo Nation, is that we have an amazing leader who is very versatile and gifted in many areas. So yeah, if you need to talk to someone, reach out to her. She's amazing to talk to. And we pause for these things. We definitely pause because we hit those bumps in the road. We hit those brick walls, like Elaine was saying earlier. And we want to be able to help navigate you through those walls and into those spaces. So, again, restoration is very key in us moving forward. It is very key. It's the beginning of how we start to redeem ourselves. And again, keep in mind that another angle of restoration, or to look at it, another angle to look at restoration from, is you're going back to the same space, but you're not going back as the same person. You're going back to where the breach happened, but you're not going back to stay there. You're going back to fix your foundation when it comes to restoration. And she's put her, thank you, Pastor. I call Auntie Bravo. Her information where you can reach out and look at that, y'all. Free counseling at nowYouTalking.com for counseling and free consultation. I'm sorry, free consultation. Take advantage of it. If you take the opportunity to reach out, speak, talk in a safe space, and get what you need. She's not new to this, as they say. She's true to this. So we thank God for her hands and her ability and her availability. So once we get from that place of restoration, again, where we are vulnerable, where we are in a space where we are willing to go back and to look and to see who we are, how we got here, and do that work, that takes us that puts us back at square one where we started, and enables us to do the process of cleaning and clearing and repairing, doing that work that allows us to mend and to reestablish and to reinstate who we are back to our original foundation before things happen. Then once we get done there, we get to the place where we can reset. Now, I like the reset space. I do. Because what I've learned is after I've been restored, don't laugh at me, Elaine. After I've been restored, I don't have to remain where I am. I don't have to repeat what I have what I just learned. I don't have to repeat. I don't have to stay in that space. We now have some knowledge of what got us where we are. Simon's voice says, I'm still grieving my son's passing. It will be a year on the 19th from suicide in my home. And you're right, it's stages. I'm moving out of my townhome a year after today and tomorrow, and I am all over, and I'm guess you're saying the place. Um, well, absolutely, our condolences, our prayers, and our love go to you. Praying God keeps you strong through it all. And that is heavy. But yes, God is able to get you to a place of restoration.
Yeah.
And yep, grieving is one step at a time. You have to, again, allow yourself the grace. Yes, he's okay. He's all over the place with emotions right now, but it's because of my relationship with Jesus. Um, and again, we don't mind to stop where we are, because again, this is a safe space that we have created and are creating, for everyone to come and be a part and to share and to talk. And we want to have real conversation with real resolutions, so that we can be better about who we are and what we do. So yes, grieving is its own process, and you have to
Yes.
do it your way and in your time. There is no right or no wrong, and it's just your space, and you just have to be able to be honest and to be vulnerable and learn your new normal, whatever that is, at whatever point. Be free to establish a new normal. And your new normal doesn't mean that you ever forget or that you ever have to forget. It just means that you are learning how to press forward through
Right.
what you've gone through. So we are praying for all of you who are grieving, still, or new or past. Um, but our prayers go out to you all. And we know that, listen, we're still here. We are still here today. So that's proof that we are overcomers. Um, Sometimes you got to take a Selah moment.
Yes.
This is when to just
Definitely.
exhale and breathe. And again, we hope that this is good conversation and that you are enjoying this space on tonight. It says that I can get past the pain. Yes, yes. Pain takes time to process. Uh,
Right.
and it might flare up at different times in different spaces. But yes, Auntie Bravo says stop, pause, and reflect.
Yep.
We have
Yep.
absolutely. Psalmist says, but one thing that made it difficult was the church, especially if you're a pastor. Yeah, which he is. He is also a pastor, and it is difficult because people don't allow you space. And this comes with any leadership position. People are so used to seeing you operate in your strength that when you do have a moment that knocks the wind out of you, oftentimes people don't know how to deal with your vulnerability. They don't know how to respond to it. So they're not looking at it from the place of being sensitive. They're
Mm.
looking at it from the place of their survival and how
Mm.
your weak moment affects them, which we as
Right.
people have to learn how to be better, you know, and not be
Yeah.
desensitized. Go ahead, Bert.
I was gonna say, a pastor or even if you're the strong one in your family, and people are used to leaning on you, but now you need a moment, it becomes difficult. And I know I'm kind of going through that with my family, with one of my cousins, and I, you've got to get, even though you're grieving, you've got to get to that place where you take your time away to grieve, because as long as you stay in that space, as we were talking about, because this that kind of goes along with almost all situations. When you
Mhm.
were saying that it's scarier to stay in that same space, it's scary to stay in the space where people are constantly leaning on you, and you never take the space that you need to grieve, whether it's, 10 minutes a day in your room with the door locked, or in your car if you're sitting in your car and you don't want to go
Mhm.
inside, or if you're in the bathroom and you lock the door, or you know anywhere where you can get the time to get peace, regroup, and get that peace of mind. I think that becomes just as important as the grieving, because then
Yeah.
you never get to restore yourself, regroup, reset. You never get to do that if you don't take that time, away, if you need it. Some people don't need it, but if you need it, you have to do, and some people aren't strong enough to take that time. Um, and at some point, though, you know, you need to, otherwise, you just might explode. And we don't want that. So you
Right.
do need, and
Definitely.
that's just real, you know, um, real, real talk, because we think we're so strong, but you do need to take that time away from everything else and everyone else, um, to, you know, reset.
Absolutely. You do. And it's absolutely necessary. I find that when we are in these leadership positions or in we're the strong one, um, we are so used to doing that it becomes our default,
Yeah.
and we stay in that space. I know I became very desensitized to a lot of things, and I mastered turning off my emotions, but still being able to function, because there's always someone needs, someone needs, someone needs, someone needs. And that even allows us, it becomes the distraction to dealing with what we really need to deal with, or our own feelings or emotions. So taking those 10 minutes that you were talking about is key. You may not think that you need it, but we all need it.
Right.
No, even a robot, a computer has to be rebooted, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
so, and that runs on automatic on all the, we are fragile, and we are delicate, and we have to take that time to ourselves. No one, you owe it to yourself. No one should monopolize all of you all the time. And you have to allow yourself to feel what it is that you're feeling without. Sometimes you have to tell people, no, I need, a moment. I know when I start feeling overwhelmed, and I used to start to have like moments of anxiety. Um, and I can multitask a whole lot. I find that I operate better when I'm super busy, when I have like 50, well, Burn, I got 62 things to do, I can maneuver better. But when it's in the still and quiet, I struggled. And I had to um, learn to be still. I had to learn how to quiet myself. And I found that I struggled through that because I didn't want to deal with what was going on with Dawn. All the busyness was a distraction, and I was still doing. I'm putting my glasses back on because we got another comment, and I ain't gonna act like I can see without them. My poetic partner says, I hid and still hide behind humor. Yes, yes, yes. Just a coping mechanism. If not, I would be in tears every day. That is so true. A lot of us laugh to keep from crying. A lot of us hide our feelings behind, our humor or the cut up that we do. And it is sometimes what we have to do in order to just navigate, in order to just make it. Because sometimes the pain or the pressure of what we're going through and what we're feeling is so overwhelming that we know that we're going to snap and we're going to break. I know when I was pregnant with my son and I was going through life, and after I had him, and I believe Elaine might remember this. I don't know how she may or may not have picked up on where I was, because I'm always like, I'm okay. I'm okay. Everything is, I'm okay. I was so not okay that it was not okay,
Right.
and it really wasn't. But I had to keep telling myself, I'm okay. I know I locked myself, like I said, I ended up locking myself in the bathroom one day and just, I was in tears. And then I went to church and I had to pull myself together. I went to church, and my son was with his dad, and he brought him to church. And the minute I saw my son, I lost it. I lost it at church. I had to go in the bathroom at the building we were in, and I locked myself in the stall, and I just stayed there. And I was just like, I need everybody to stop talking, just stop talking, just stop talking. Because I was on the edge. I couldn't even use humor anymore. I could not use, I couldn't mask all the other things. I couldn't use busyness. I had reached the brim of my capacity, because I did not take the smaller steps to cope with what was going on. And I just totally lost it. And I was like, no. So they thought that bringing my son to see me, they were like, well, bring Jalen, because it's going to calm her down. Not knowing that, and that was the worst thing you could have ever done. And I told them straightway, I really did. I was like, I need you to remove this baby from my sight right now. And I was so calm about it. I said, I do not want to see him, because I
I
hadn't
remember
dealt.
that day.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. Very
Right?
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay. So we're just going to take him back outside. And because, again, I had not dealt with the breach in my brokenness, I had not dealt with the place in my foundation that was cracked, and it just kept building on top of it. And this is why I say we have to go back at some point to that place to get restored, so that those cracks don't cause us to break. I hope you are enjoying this conversation. I'm welcome, David. So glad you can join us. Hope you're enjoying this conversation. But yes, we all have different coping mechanisms, which are great as temporary moments, but we have to take that time throughout the day to acknowledge where we are and what we're feeling. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, I said some other things that day too. I'm not going to repeat that. But
That's what I
Elaine can
remember
vouch.
mostly.
Yeah,
The other things you said.
yeah, I did. I did. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't cute, but it was. But I allowed myself to get to that space, and we have to protect ourselves. We can't continue to hide behind humor and the different coping mechanisms, shopping, eating, whatever it is, because you're doing more damage to yourself.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
better that we do.
and it's so funny. I'm the opposite. I shut all the way down. I'm I'm super quiet. I don't take phone calls. I might text you
Yeah,
back,
yeah, yeah. You do.
but yeah,
But you just have to
everybody's
find that.
different.
You got to find that outlet. You owe it to yourself
Yeah,
to find that outlet, to just reset yourself.
right.
um the psalmist says, you're right, strength is all I know to do, and it wasn't enough in that circle, but God. Yep. Sometimes that's all we know how to do. And then we have to learn how to, as Elaine said in the beginning, be vulnerable again. I'm learning how to be vulnerable again. I've learned how to be vulnerable with God and say, God, I'm not feeling all right about this. Nope, I'm not really with it. This scares me. Um,
Mhm.
I learned how to reconnect with my emotions, and I'm still learning in some senses how to reconnect with them. I used to tell Elaine for years, I was like, I think I'm broken, because like I was so it's like I don't feel this. Like, okay, I can take it or leave it. It was no big deal.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I've learned, I let my heart heal, and I let my spirit heal, and I let my mind heal, So now I'm like, oh, okay, so now I'm able to start feeling again, which is great and amazing. And I'm like, oh, all right, we can
Or
work
you're
with
not
this.
broken.
Right. I was like, I'm not broken. Like, who knew?
God
And
did.
the world, you did. But the world becomes brand new for you all over again, when you allow yourself to get in that space of healing and the restoration, which takes us again to that place of reset. Now you're at a place where you can be set again or differently. That reset is allowing yourself to now be transformed now that you've got through the restoration. Now allow yourself, and again, being restored does not mean that now that your foundation is well, don't repeat the thing that caused you to have to be restored. Like, don't walk away repeating the cycle. Once you get restored, then reset yourself to do things differently. It's a part of, again, in the process of redeeming who you are, because you're going back to the same place, but you're not going back as the same person. You have to reset yourself, and be open to being transformed, be open to amending and to starting over or to adjusting. Um, and Mill says, I love the song, I Will Praise You Through the Storm. Come on now. Come on now. All right. That is a good song. That is a good song. What is it? Simon said, that's real laughter. It is true. Laughter is a cure. He says, let's go. It is a great song. But in the reset, after you've been restored, the reset, allow yourself to be set again, but differently. I had to learn differently. I had to learn how to think differently. I had to learn how to move differently. I made a post as I've been journeying this month. This is my birthday month, and I've been taking this journey. And so every day I've been posting something, and I made a post that was saying, like, I'm not, you don't know this version of me because I put my pieces together differently. So I have to like reintroduce you. I have to introduce, not even reintroduce you. I have to introduce you to who I am now, because I've reset myself in a different place and in a different way. I've adjusted myself in different spaces. And that's what we have to do after we have done the work of being restored. We have to then reset ourselves into a whole different space and place so that our transformation can begin, so that we are not putting ourselves back into the cycles that we just came out of.
It just reminds me of like, you know, the people you went to high school with, or the people you used to hang out with, and you run into them. They don't know any of the things that you've been through. So they are expecting the old person that they used to hang out with, and they try you, and you have to set your boundaries
Mhm.
because you are no longer that person after you've gone through the process, to get yourself, restored and reset. And
Mhm.
you run into these people. So along with that, you run into other traumatic experiences, or maybe just some little things that might trigger you. You still have to have those boundaries, of everything you've just went through, and you're reset, and you're trying really hard not to repeat those behaviors or go to those places or run into those people. um then your mindset has to come back, and everything that
Mhm.
you've learned to get reset, you have to now put the work in.
Right.
'Cause I think that's when the real work begins, right? After you've gone through everything and you've learned it, and then you run into this one experience as a trigger, or a person, that you haven't seen in a long time, or people that you haven't seen. You now have to put into work
Yeah.
that very thing that you just learned. um and that's the to me, that's the real work.
It is. It is the process of the real work. It's really right. You have the knowledge. Now it's the application.
Hmm.
And in your reset again, you have to let people know, or even let yourself know first, and not even people. Your reset is for you. Sometimes I have to remind myself, no, you're not the same. I'm learning me over again. Not even over again. I'm learning me now in this space, and I'm reminding myself I'm not the same. I put my pieces back together differently. So although different situations may come up that may be triggering, I've learned to pause. In your reset, learn to pause and say, see, I'm not trying to do what the old Dawn would do. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to put into practice the work that I have done behind the scenes so I can see how this works for me. Um, so you have to make sure that you are transforming yourself on a regular basis, one step at a time, starting over from a fresh space, not where you were, but a fresh space. This new space of being restored is way different because now I'm making decisions from a whole place. Now I'm making decisions from a healed place. Now I'm making decisions from a healthy place, and I'm resetting my journey. And that is a part of me redeeming me. It's a part of me getting back to who I am. I owe myself success. I owe myself, healthy and good love. I owe myself, to live well. I owe myself, good health, whatever it is. You owe it to yourself to reset whatever you need to, however you need to get into that good space so that you can move forward, not repeating the cycles that you just came out of. The psalmist says, music is healing. I have a new anthem that has helped me. You Are the Way by Paul Bill Jr., available now on all music platforms. All right, well, there. How about that? Go check it out, y'all. And Bravo with Sheila says, at David, she's saying he's on YouTube Live. All right, on YouTube Live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Time of worship with David Hunt on piano and vocals. Y'all make sure y'all go follow and check out, sign up, our trip, like, subscribe, and share these great, amazing spaces. They're all going to help to encourage you and fill those gaps that may be open, that are going to help us to move forward in what we need to do. So make sure you check it out. I know I'm gonna go check it out. I'm up early anyway. I'm up. I don't think I sleep right, but that's the story for another day. So in the reset, embrace setting again, embrace the transformation, own it, embrace the amendment, embrace starting over and making the adjustments that you have put the work in to make. Don't let your work be in vain. You already know what the old cycle is going to produce. The beautiful thing is, it's a whole new world awaiting for you on the other side of your reset. And I say, go discover it. I know I am, and I'm enjoying the journey 1000%. I promise you. Um, but the question is, how do we reset? Somebody may be asking, how do you reset your mind and your emotions? I'm sorry, there's a comment. Okay, the psalmist says reset in the acronym: release emotion, spiritually erasing trauma. It's for free. The psalmist has given us all an acronym. He's giving it for free. He's giving it for free. And trust me, y'all, you're going to get to know him very well. He is going to be one of our men's lounge panelists, a regular member of the men's lounge. So you will be hearing and seeing him soon. And Nate Thicket has posted how you can subscribe to David Hunt's channel. So make sure that you do that. We love to support one another here on the Bravo with Sheila network. So make sure that you do. Yep. Restoration and restore. Your reset, how you do that with your mind and your emotions, is simply this: you change your focus and your view, you change your perspective is going to help you to reset your mind, the things that you see. When you change your perspective and your focus and your view, you are able to change your emotions. Your emotions are no longer reacting to what you used to see. They're now going to respond to what you are seeing now. You look like you want to share, Elaine.
Just listening.
She's just okay. She's embracing. She's embracing the moment. But yes, how do you reset? You reset by changing your focus and your view. Because remember, you're not in the same space that you were. I had to change my mind and my focus and my view. So much so that God literally had to move me from I'm a Bronx girl. I'm New York, born and bred. Yeah. Born in Queens, raised in the Bronx. I'm NYC. I'm Bronx every day, all day. But God had to do so much in me that He had to literally uproot me from everything I knew and move me up state into the mountains. Literally, I drive up and down 2 mountains every day. And changing my view, changing my view, changed my focus. Changing my focus enabled me to change my mind. And changing my mind enabled me to change my emotions. And now I have learned to live in the moments that I have, my good moments. I really, really have. And be able to embrace, look forward to embracing living in the moment. You change, you reset your mind and your emotions by asking for help when you need it. And you change your mind, your emotions by doing this, put it into practice. This is key. Taking a break. Take a break. Karen says, oh, thank you, Karen. Thank you, Minister Karen. So glad you could pop in and join. Thank you for staying. And hope you will like, subscribe, and share and join us again. Um, and the last thing I want to share, was there anything you want to share on the reset before we get to wrapping it up? I hope that you guys are really enjoying this conversation. I'm enjoying having it with you and sharing these moments. Again, in this Redeeming Me series, it is really about getting back to the core. It's part of my journey of getting back to the core of who I am, who God intended for me to be, and just being real and truthful and honest. Because if I can't be those things, I can't help anybody, and we want our lives to be living epistles. We want people to see. I know for me, I want people to see what God can do when you allow Him to do it. And once you get through these things, guess what? There's no shame in the game, and can nobody say nothing about me that I'm not worried about. All you do, you can't tell me anything about me that I don't know. So in that case, it takes the power away from, or takes the sting out of what people may say about your journey. Um, but allow yourself the grace to embrace restoration. Allow yourself the grace to create a reset so that you can be better. And lastly, which was kind of firstly, as Elaine was asking, how do we unlearn? This was our final point, was how do you unlearn whatever isn't you anymore? And you unlearn whatever isn't you anymore by going back and allowing yourself to do the work of restoration. See how it flows together. It just all comes together. You allow yourself to go back to being restored, or go through the process of restoration. And then you get yourself prepared to reset who you are. Just like when you have to, again, we got to reboot, factory default, factory reset, go back to the place of your beginning and reset yourself so that you can now pursue everything that you need to, everything that you deserve. Make sure that you are cleaning, clearing, and repairing, doing that work so that you can embrace your new normal, whatever that looks like, in any way, shape, and form. That's how you unlearn whatever isn't you anymore. Allow those things to drop off so that you can make room for the things that need to attach themselves to you. So I hope this conversation has been helpful. Hope something has been said to edify and to encourage you on tonight. As always, I thank you for tuning in. I want to leave space for Elaine to share. I don't want to miss any comments. Okay. Oh, Karen said, thank you for the invite. It was a blessing. I pray. I think I missed it. It was up before. Um, my partner, my poetic partner, she's going to be back on soon, whether she knows it or not. She said, glad I stopped in. Powerful and so meaningful. Thank you for the reminder. God bless. David Hunt says, thanks for the shout out. And Nay, we make sure you go support, pop over and support. And Karen says, this was really good and helpful. So before we close, I want to again thank my bestie, Elaine, one of our original Thursday night with Lady Dorothy members. She's going to be coming on and highlighting every now and then. She is. I don't care what she says.
I'm like, did I say that? When did I say that?
I'll give her space to share some final words and thoughts.
It was truly a blessing to be back on here. But I think when I think about restoration and redeeming myself and resetting, it's we've been saying it all night. It's all about the mindset and where where you want to be, where you want, as you said, where you think God intended you to be, and all those things that you have to move out of the way to get there. And you've got to make up your mind about the journey that you're willing to take, because it may not look like you think it's going to look when you start going through it, and it may be difficult, but you know that you are going to be better for it on the other side.
Absolutely. And thank you for your amazing shares. I could not have had this conversation without you. So, again, everyone, like, subscribe, and share, share, share. Invite someone to be a part of this great moment that we have every time we come together. I appreciate you. And my final thoughts in closing, again, it is important. You owe it to yourself to redeem every single thing that has fallen off or been locked away due to the changes or the challenges of life, whatever came to knock you off your square, and to set you back. You don't have to take it lying down. Actually, you have the right to get up and to go get every bit of every success that you can. You don't have to choose. We limit ourselves. I believe a lot of times we feel we have to choose. You don't have to choose. You can be all things. You just have to maybe can't be them all at the same time, but you can be every bit of amazing that God intended you to be. So I pray that you all go and redeem yourselves, that you acknowledge the places of breaches so that you do not repeat the cycles that put us in this place. I pray that you would allow yourself to embrace the resets. Again, go back. Allow yourself to create again a new normal. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to go back to the old. You did that already. Reset and keep moving forward in the things that you know that you were designed to do. Remember that the way we reset is that we change our view and we change our focus. We live in the moment, we ask for help, we take breaks. And most importantly, I will say unlearning whatever unlearn whatever isn't you anymore so that you can become everything that is you, because you're amazing as is. So thank you everyone for another great night with Lady Dawn B here on Thursday, or here on Bravo with Sheila Network on Thursday nights. We're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Next Thursday, I'm celebrating all month, y'all, because again, it's my birthday month. It's going down. Yes, it is. Every day I'm celebrating something else about me. Why? Because I'm redeeming myself. Because it's time. Come out the box. For those of you who know me, I am a party in a box all by myself. and it's about to get worse, just so y'all know. But every Thursday night we are here at 7 p.m. We're celebrating this month also because it is Bravo with Sheila's birthday month also. Woo woo! It's about to go down. See, I'm just saying, I'm excited. That just woke me up. It just sprung something up in me. We're going to celebrate together. November is the best month ever, okay? So we're going to be celebrating us, thanking God for life, for strength, and for health. We're going to turn up in November. Next Thursday, we'll be on at 7 p.m. with my favorite Canadian Jamaican, my brother, Gregory Bloomfield. He is no stranger here. This is about his third time coming. He's going to be sharing from his books and sharing just from his well and just from his knowledge. And we go chop it up and have great conversations. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and share, and make sure that you invite a friend. Make sure that you catch the replay, share the replay, get everything that you need from the replay, and we'll be back to do it all again. So I love you all. God bless you. Good night. Be encouraged and go be great. Until next time, we'll see you later. Just hang tight, bird. The psalmist says, this was phenomenal, ladies.
Somebody pass around the offering. Since I'm always preaching on tracks, you feel me? I'm not gonna get paid for it.
Psalmist, April is not the best month. It's November. It is.
Informant, that information for me. Important, you get a portion of fortune pouring. Confession, fortunately, blessings on now they snoring. You mellow, so focus.
April is a nice month. It's not November.
I don't demand, I know where I stand like engineer hands. Watch how my life pans.
Have a great night, everybody.
Pop out like a cutter. Telling the quick rock, skipping the croaky square like hopscotch. This gonna be my mood to my beat drop. Putting my boogie shoes in my ditty boots. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Yeah, I'ma make the rest of my life live. I'ma make the rest of my life live. Gonna make the rest of my life the best of my life. Congratulations on the celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. No congratulations on no celebration. I know I'm dope without a need of a validation. Yeah. If having hope is dangerous, call me evil Knievel. You leading on the wrong side, living with peasant needles. So lethal, made Shane Black wanna write a sequel. Cause I snuggle my dreams till it's seen as illegal. And I still probably will, cause I can never give up. I got my goals calling me, how could I never pick up? Anything we make up or just break up, with the snake hits, get the rake up. Yeah, selfish, I'ma cake up if I don't shake me to wake up. Let my depression catapult me to succession. Shine a light on my imperfections like a projection. Every struggle and lesson, your issues ain't your oppression. Never got a question, pay pushing me to progression like I'ma make the rest of my life like.